Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sasquatch Watch Radio with your host, Billy Willard, and the Blog Squatter. Strap in, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, January 19th, 2009. It is good to be back after having a little bout with pneumonia and a bout with the flu all at the same time. It was not a fun thing, but, you know, I dealt with it, so. Anyway, I want to welcome my great and wonderful co-host, Mr. D.B. Donlin, who him and J.C. done a wonderful job taking over last week, and I wanted to thank you guys for that, D.B.
Well, you're welcome, Billy, and it's great to have you back.
Thank you very much. Now, my understanding is as everybody really anticipates at the beginning of the show, I believe you may have some news articles for us.
Yes, well, you know, I was looking through this last time. I just got a new email here, but I don't see anything that's worth bringing up. But there's a couple of things that I do have. One, probably a lot of people have already heard about, and that is that one of the people that we had as a guest on the show not very long ago, a researcher in Minnesota named Ed Welch, he got himself into the news recently because he went out on a very, very cold day, it looks like, if you look at his videos. Very cold day. He went out there into the woods looking for Bigfoot by himself, just with his camera, and he broke through some ice. And after he broke through the ice, he had a little bit of trouble finding his way back, so he was wandering around. Let me just read a little of this here. As his camera captured peculiarly shaped tree branches and sticks fashioned into teepee shapes, the ice below him broke, and in moments, Welch was waist-deep in bitter cold water. And then this is Welch speaking. Out of instinct, I threw the camera on the snowbank to save it, he said. As for the creek, Welch said, I thought the ice would be solid. Welch managed to emerge from the creek, but not unscathed. He was developing symptoms of hypothermia, he said, and was having trouble walking. To make matters worse, he was wandering aimlessly for hours throughout Carlos Avery Forest, often going in circles. Then fear and panic set in. As well it should. And this is from one of their local newspapers, the ECM Post-Review. Yep. Now, had you heard about that, Billy? The fact that he got lost and fell in the water, we'd say we're sorry to hear about that. But it actually made the news, and it's a little limited news run so far. But I thought it was interesting that it was put out in the news like that.
Yeah, I sent him a message. I first learned about it over at the Bigfoot forums, and I know that Ed does sometimes come on the Bigfoot forums, and I kind of sent a message in the topic that they got over there, a message to Ed telling him that I hope he's okay. And, you know, I just can't, you know, none of us can really stress the importance of going out there with somebody, because, I mean, anything can happen, and that's an obvious example, you know, of what can happen. I mean, we can know the woods, we can know survival, we can know a lot of things, but I mean, things like that happen, and it's scary, and I'm sure it's spooked him up pretty good.
Yeah, and it does remind me of a couple of other stories, and I think even you have had this happen when you're out in the woods and you think you're somewhere near a Bigfoot, or you have some reason to think that. Some people will suddenly get disoriented. And Welch did think that he was near a Bigfoot at this time. Of course, though, you fall in the water and get yourself close to hypothermia, that's probably reason enough to be disoriented. But I did think it was an interesting connection there.
Yeah. And my understanding is he does have military training, and stuff, and that probably was to his advantage as far as being able to, keep going, and because I'm sure he was freezing, and I understand that, according to the article, I guess the ambulances or the fire engines or something were sounding the sirens, and that's how he kind of helped him to find his way out of there. He was able to hear the sirens at one point, and he kind of walked off in that direction, I guess, found his way out of there. Right.
And the last thing that I'll mention is that if you look through his videos, he always has a lot of videos, so it takes a little while. But at least in this case, he put in the description that he thought he could hear some whoops, and I listened as closely as I could, and I couldn't tell you what those noises were. It sounded like it could be dogs barking, if you were to be really skeptical about it. But he did record something, so it's interesting, and it's worth having a look if you're interested to see what he's been up to.
Right.
And you can get to that on his YouTube channel. I think he goes by the name of The First Billy Jack. So if you go to YouTube and you look up The First Billy Jack, all is one word, you should find his channel right away.
Yeah, and he's got plenty of videos, so if you plan on watching them, you better plan on spending a day, because he's got a lot of them. That guy is documenting everything he does, which is great.
Yeah, great.
So, Ed, if you're out there, man, glad you're okay. Certainly don't wish you anything bad to happen to you, man, and take it easy, and don't take a dip in the wintertime no more, okay?
That's right. Stay out of the water when it's freezing.
Did you have anything else, DB?
I think that's enough for today. I may have something next week. I'll hold this for next week.
All right. Well, so everybody stay tuned next week. DB's got something. He's holding it back for some reason.
That's because I took my 5 minutes already.
All right. Well, anyway, without further ado, just to set up everything here, folks, we have a fellow on tonight as our guest. His name is Bob. He lives in a town called Catharpin, Virginia. We're not going to give out any exact locations, basically because we are currently investigating this area, as he has had a couple of sighting encounters on this property, but we wanted to bring him on here tonight so that he could talk about that, and of course talk about some other things that he has experienced. But anyway, we want to welcome Bob to the show. Welcome to the show, Bob.
How y'all doing?
We're doing just fine, and I'm thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. It's nice really finding somebody to talk to with the same interest, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know. It's very hard, and it's you have a lot of people out there that want to ridicule and make fun because they don't think it's possible for this thing to exist. But I think there's a lot of people out there that know otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, just to start out, because there's a lot of folks here that don't know who you are. If you could just give them, a brief of who you are, and maybe a little bit about what you do and that kind of thing.
Well, I'm 57 years old. I spent about 16 and a half years in the military. Hunted, fished, did about every place you can think of. Pack horse trips, hiking trips, stuff like that. Canoed a lot. Spent a lot of time outside. I work for a multinational company now. We do fire suppression systems, and that's about it. Nothing real exciting, nothing real earth-shattering. Just normal stuff everybody else did in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, when they were growing up.
It's so you're not an astronaut or nothing, right?
I'm not an astronaut. No, I'm not a rocket science or an astronaut, or
Well, I think it's one thing's for sure. A lot of hunters and fishermen and people like that have seen and had an encounter with these things. So again, you're added along with the ranks of those people that have had sightings of this thing. And so tell us a little bit about it. It happened here in Catharpin, Virginia, without giving the exact locations and all that. Just give us an idea of exactly what the first encounter you had was.
Well, I just came out of the house one morning. It was just right after time change, basically. It still had a little bit of morning light. And it was, I guess, 20 minutes to 6 or so. And I just had the feeling, you know, the I'm not alone feeling, and I didn't really think about it much. I got in the van and fired it up, and as I did, this 7-foot plus, 8-foot creature just kind of hoofed it across my line of sight about, I guess, 35, 40 yards in front of me, headed from one end of the property toward the other. And I said, oh, yeah. And it was, I never felt scared. I never felt nothing like that. I still don't. I go out all the time after dark. And, you know, I'm a little more leery of my surroundings. I don't worry about much. But I seen it and, you know, thought about it a couple of days before I called y'all. And, you know, kind of went looking for a little bit of sign, but didn't want to mess nothing up because, you know, I never investigated nothing like this before. I, you know, tracked stuff, but never something I felt of this importance, you know. Right. And then when I first moved here, I kept getting the feeling something was walking around the house. And you could hear, like, muffled voice mumblings, nothing clear, nothing, you couldn't pick out a word, or a word you could, you know, say was English. And I get the feeling I was getting watched through the windows one night through where I have my computer set up. You know about how that works. And I got a feeling I was getting watched through the window one night, and it kind of creeped me a little bit. So I just eased the curtain and figured if there's nothing to look at, nothing's going to bother me, you know.
Right.
And moved a 12 gauge out of the gun safe and put it in the bedroom. But you know, other than that, just kind of, you know, just several little things, a couple hits on the house, like something smacked the house to get attention, but nothing violent as far as trying to destroy anything. You know, I thought I had a partial print in the flower bed one the first time I heard it, and that's way before I called you. I heard it before I actually seen one. Right. And then I guess it was about a week or so ago, no, 2 weeks ago, about Christmas time, I guess it was, I come home and at dusk, and there was one in the side yard right by the tree kind of peeking around like, well, what's that? It did see me. And I called you on that one, and we never came up with nothing but
right.
Walk in the woods. But, you know, that's just about how it's been. It has been nothing. I haven't started anything like getting a big pile of rocks and start heaving rocks down the woods when I hear something. But here the last couple nights, the neighbors' dogs have been fired up, and they actually ran something up through the back, and I'm not sure, you know, there was no real crashing or banging, just you could hear the dogs moving something.
Right.
It could have been a deer.
Right.
You know.
Now, when you had your first and your second sighting, by the way, folks, I already know all the story because we're doing the active investigation, but I'm trying to ask questions just to educate the listeners so that they know exactly what's happened. When on both of those sightings, Bob, did the creature ever seem to acknowledge you or look at you or anything like that?
The first sighting, no. The second sighting, I had the feeling it was peeking at me, but not an eyes locked look. Like, is that real? Somebody really did come up there, you know? Right. So I came in the van, and unfortunately, I have one of those vans where the modern, you know, protect me from myself, the lights stay on all the time vehicles. So right. I can't, like, sneak in even under moonlight and turn the lights off.
Right.
And come in under moonlight. And it was kind of like, whoop, who's that, you know? And it never really, the first time it was like, oh, I know you're there, but I don't want to look at you. And it just booked. It was moving.
Right.
It was not running, and it was not hanging around either. And it was kind of like one of them, oh, I'm invisible, you know, keep on moving. Right. And the second time, it's like, whoops, I'm caught. I got to get out of here. And then by the time I got a hold of you, I could not tell which way it went. I didn't have a flashlight in the van at the time, which has since been remedied. And I had a, it just, that's the only one I had the feeling actually looked at me.
Right.
And it was kind of more like how you would look at somebody if you were startled, and then, whoa, was that what I saw? Then peek around again a second time,
Right.
And that one there too was 7.5, 8 foot.
Right.
I can't say it was the same one, but
right.
And I can't say it was a different one.
Right. Just so that everyone knows, if you want to call in and ask, myself, DB, or Bob any questions, the call-in number to the show is 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. DB, I'm going to go over to you real quick and make sure you don't have any questions from the chat.
We don't actually have any questions yet.
Okay, so we're good for now.
Well, actually, there was one question. They just wanted to know where Catharpin was, and I said it was about 10 miles away from Manassas, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, that's roughly about right. That's about right. It's not far from Manassas Battlefield, actually, in that general area. If anybody wants to look that up, kind of on an aerial photograph, you'll see that Manassas Battlefield has a lot of woods, and the woods actually stretch pretty much from that point. There's a steady line of woods that actually goes all the way up to an area we call Bull Run Mountain.
Yeah, you can pretty much get where you want, and you can move around here if you had the mind to.
Right.
You can move around the area pretty much not be seen.
Right.
If you're motivated enough to.
Now, Bob, do you in this? And I know this is just strictly would be an opinion on your part, but do you have any opinions as to why this thing may be visiting that area?
I think it's traveling the creek bed.
Okay.
I think it's a travel route, to tell you the truth, and it comes up on foraging.
Right.
But then again,
that area, I guess that area where you first saw it, and this we've kind of put all this hypothesis together as me and Charlie's been out there several times, as Bob knows, and we've kind of theorized that maybe because of the position of his first sighting of where he saw the creature, his neighbors keep their trash behind that part of the house. So whether it's going for the trash and going through the trash, another interesting thing is that they used to have ducks on the property, and they currently have chickens on the property. However, it doesn't seem any of the chickens have ever been affected at this point. All the ducks have disappeared, but we kind of ruled that out as fox based on some of the stuff we were seeing, and I think someone had actually seen one. Correct, Bob?
Yeah, fox has been spotted twice, actually.
Right. So
we spotted them twice, yeah.
Right. So we can't rule out fox for the ducks, and a fox could have easily gotten to them because the fencing there wouldn't be hard at all for a fox to get in there and grab a duck. So,
well, depending how much racket something would want to make, I know if I was trying to sneak around and not get caught, I wouldn't get too labor intensive into getting into something. The chickens are pretty well protected. They got what we used to call bull panels. 1/8-inch steel rod welded in a grid, like a fence panel, and it's got bull wire enclosure over them with chicken wire over that.
Right.
So the thought of reaching through and just snatching a chicken, it's not going to be able to do that.
Right.
That's the only thing I can figure out.
All right. Well, looks like we've got our first call. We got a caller from the 936 area code. You're on the air with Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Hey, Billy, how are you?
I'm doing fine. This sounds like Ron?
No.
Nope.
No.
Who is it?
Guess again.
Thomas.
That's who it is.
There it is. You two actually do sound similar, so I couldn't figure out which one it was.
Forgive me. I don't have very good short-term memory. What was your guest name again?
Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Bob, you said you had creeks in the area?
Got a creek, yeah, about 150 yards off the back of the house.
Have you ever noticed the shells from freshwater clams anywhere around there?
No, never have, to tell you the truth.
You've never seen any?
Never have. My personal mobility is kind of limited, so I don't get down a lot of squatting down to look at stuff. I'll find something and put it in my head, but I don't get a whole lot of, picking little things up I see type thing. My mobility is kind of sort of limited.
Sure.
And but I've never noticed any freshwater clams, nothing like that up there. It's not really that big of a creek. I'd say it's more of a stream.
Okay.
It's probably it probably gets spots 3-4 foot deep, and then dwindles out to where you can walk across it and barely get your feet wet. And then just a meandering stream through the countryside. It pools up in some spots, and it doesn't pool up around back by our place. It doesn't pool up. It pools up the other side of the road further down, about a quarter, half a mile through the woods to where it crosses the road. Then it pools up.
Okay.
But,
do you have a digital recorder?
No, I don't.
They cost about $35 at Walmart. You can get a Sony or an RCA digital recorder with a USB connection. And I was just wondering if you thought about buying one of those and putting some food out with the recorder next to it and seeing what you get.
I've thought about that. I have thought about that. I'm just trying to get the extra up to get the gear. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah, I actually, Smiter, we discussed that this past weekend when we were out there doing our research, and I've got an extra one that I'm going to loan to Bob so that he can set it out whenever he hears anything. So we're going to take care of that this coming weekend.
Okay. I was just going to comment, that's the first recording I got. I left the recorder out there overnight on a metal chair with some food, and you can hear them come up and take the food, and you can actually hear them smacking their gums in the recording.
Right.
Huh, that's cool.
So just different ideas, things you can do.
Yeah.
And chances are they'll leave you something if you leave food out. To date, I've received the upper half only of a turtle shell and wild turkey feathers.
Oh, I thought you were saying some wild turkey. I was going to say, wow, that's pretty good.
I had 4 wild turkey feathers left on the chair where I had left the bread at next to the recorder.
I've heard of that happening in Arizona.
Yeah.
Where people would get things left, shiny rocks, and just something that catches their eye, so to speak. But I've heard about that, kind of like a trade thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you're disabled like I am to an extent. I have multiple sclerosis, so my mobility isn't very good. And so there's no reason for me to be afraid. Even if I could run, I can't outrun one, so I don't ever fear them. Besides, if they meant me any harm, I'd be a greasy spot in the woods already.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, I've been close enough to one that I don't, if I think it was going to be harmful, it would have drove me in the ground like a pile driver, but,
Yeah, I was just, I was thinking that there's different things you can try. A $5 investment you can try is a children's chalkboard at a toy store.
Yeah.
And draw something on it and leave it out there and see if they draw anything else on it next to what you draw.
That's an idea.
I've seen photographs from people who've done that very thing, and they will draw stuff on there sometimes.
All right, guys. Smiter, I hate to cut you off. I got 2 other guys on hold.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call, and I wish you the best of luck, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next person I'm going to get on the line is Unraveling Secrets. How you doing? Hello, Unraveling Secrets. You're on the line. Hello? Oh, they must not be able to hear us. Unraveling Secrets is the caller on the line. Can you hear me? I assume that would be a no. So let me grab this other caller. I believe I know who this is. If I can get it to come up. Come on. 662, I think this is Henry May.
It would be me.
How you doing, Henry?
Oh, just fine. I wanted to share with you guys. I got this. I get the Google alerts for Bigfoot, Sasquatch, things like that. Now this is not the item I got. It's not necessarily connected to Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but it is something quite interesting, and it's something that can be used in the field actually. It's called a Night Owl iGen night vision camera, and it's a monocular where you strap it to you put it on your head, you strap it to your head, you know, like a headband. I'm putting the link in the room. There's the link to it, and it takes black and white photos. You can save them on an SD memory card, and retails for $599.
Cool.
I can still hear a breather.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, I've got, just so everyone knows, I'll kind of give a rundown of what we do have going on out there, because I haven't been clear and I haven't really discussed it yet. But me and Charlie, one of my researchers, we go out there every weekend, because what we've done is we set up a trail camera. And we set up a trail camera that has infrared. Of course, it takes daylight photos as well. And what we've done is we've moved it around on various parts of the property, which looks like an area where this creature could easily maneuver itself. We've seen, trails through the woods, major game trails and things. There's deer galore in there, and Bob knows this for a fact.
Yeah.
There's deer galore on that property. Me and Charlie one weekend jumped, I forget how many. It was a lot. We jumped a lot out of the woods one day when we were out there walking around. But so we do have a trail camera set up. We do have a second trail cam that we may also put out, but we haven't done that yet. And just so everyone knows, we have found, strangely enough, a couple of very interesting-looking stick formations on the property as well, which, again, it's really strange. Every time we seem to find an area that has some type of reported sighting information, for whatever reason, we're finding these stick structures. Again, I'm not saying they're created by Bigfoot, because I've never seen one do it, but it's awful odd that we find them out there. So just to give you a little update, Henry, I didn't know if you may not have known we had a camera out there.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, the good thing about this one is you can just put it on your head, and you can be walking around, you can be filming with it, or you can take pictures with it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they have another one similar to that one you're talking about, Henry. It's made by Arcos.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Draganis had first told us about that one. It comes with a little camera and audio, and you can just put it right on your hat, and walk around and take DVD quality video images. The only thing it doesn't have is infrared. They haven't come out with anything like that, so it'd be more for documenting stuff as you're walking around in the daytime. So, yeah. But that's good.
Well, anyway,
I'm glad you brought it up.
I did have a question for Bob, I believe it is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask him, has he ever thought about what sort of food to use as bait, to perhaps attract them into a camera trap or something of that nature?
I was going to try the fruit and some cat food type stuff. Something with some punch to it, The trouble is our resident scrounge stray cat. It's the only problem we got there.
Well, plus you gotta watch out for possums and raccoons, because they love cat food too.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting a curiosity thing going where I could make some skewers out of some old coat hanger where I could skewer fruit and have it high enough that a deer couldn't buck up on its hind feet and get it, and where a raccoon couldn't get enough to come down the string to get it type stuff, and kind of rig it up where it's about 12 foot in the air, and they could reach up and pull them down off the skewer, and see how that happened, But I haven't got I haven't found the right angle in the skewer that conducive. Not the weight of the fruit won't bring it off, or it's just too hard to pull when they might figure they're into something and turn loose of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because animals are funny when they think they've hit like the old mice that's in the trap. They feel that thing going, but they flip out of there before it closes, and they could figure they're in something like that, which could actually spook them away.
Now,
All right.
Do you use the dry cat food, or?
I was going to just use some one of the cheaper varieties of the wet cat food and some dry.
Okay.
But then again, I have a place in the yard high enough. I believe I can keep most of the little creepy crawlies away from it.
Okay.
All right, Henry.
Yep.
Thank you for calling in. I'm gonna.
No problem, Billy.
Caller. Thank you so
Glad
much.
you're feeling better.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Guys, see y'all later.
Okay,
Bye.
Henry. Bye. And as soon as I get this last caller, then DB, I'll go over to you because I know you probably got some questions from the chat room. Caller from the 812 area code. You're on the air with Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Hi, guys. This is Rick Osmond.
Rick,
in
how
the
are
chat
you?
room, I was in as unraveling the secrets, but I couldn't get you to hear me, so decided phone was better. Anyway, I have a couple of questions for Bob. The first one is, he doesn't sound like he's from middle of Virginia originally.
No. Far from it.
And the second one is, in your area, going to and fro on the secondary and tertiary roads, have you encountered a line of rocks across the road or your driveway or anything?
No.
Okay. That's a behavior I've observed twice now.
That's
encounters
interesting. That's interesting, Rick. Where would that? What state?
The first time was in northeastern Alabama. In a hunting club area down there, forestry range, paper company owned property, but it at that time was leased out to a hunting club.
Right.
And no longer is, unfortunately.
Right.
But
I've seen that in Georgia. Now that you mention it.
This was pretty close to the Georgia line, so.
This was kind of central Georgia, below Macon, out in the country, and where I used to have permission to go hunting. It was kind of a place to go in to park. You could park your vehicle, and then you kind of went up through what used to be a fence line, but the fence is long gone, but a drive. And I've seen the drive blocked off with sticks and rocks.
Yeah, usually pretty good-sized rocks and sticks.
These were a couple basketball-sized ones, which mean they had to drag whatever brought them in there, carried them a little bit because there's nothing that big in the area.
Right.
And pile of sticks.
That's real similar to what I encountered, which a little car couldn't get past them, but my truck kind of straddled them, so I just kept going. Wow. Got out and examined them, of course, but didn't try to move them.
Now, Rick, are you? I'm trying to think of who you are. Are you in a research group?
I hang out sometimes in several of them, but I'm not really active, but I'm interested. So.
Right. I mean, do you get out quite often and just kind of do your own thing, research and?
Yeah, it's pretty much independent.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pop the question to you. Would you like to come on the show and talk about some of the things you went and found and looked at?
Sure. Set it up.
You mind sending me an email?
You betcha. Or I'll send you a message in the Blog Talk Radio.
That'll work. Yeah, just give me your email or send me a message on there. That's fine too, and I'll schedule you a date and have you on. Just give me a little information about your name and what state you're in, and just some brief info, and then I'll get you scheduled.
Okay.
Love to have you on.
That sounds like a plan. Well,
all right.
Bob, good talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Enjoy your encounters.
I do. I actually look forward to them, believe it or not. I'm all over the place at them now.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Rick.
Take
Bye.
care.
All right. Okay, DB. I know DB's got some questions from the chat room because I think I've seen several scroll by.
Oh, you did? Because I might have missed a couple that I only caught this one from Scott Smith. He wanted a link for the hat cam if you've had it. Did you say it was made by Arcos?
He must be talking about that one that Henry, I don't know if he's talking about that one. He might be talking about the one Henry was talking about. If he is, Henry, I know you're listening to the show. If you could type in the link, I think I saw you put it in there one time. Put the link into that. If not, I don't know the Arcos website, but if you type this,
Arcos.
I just put in the way you spell
there
Arcos.
You go. Okay.
If you
I knew I didn't have it
into
right.
a search engine, it'll pull it up, and they got some real interesting stuff. I tell you, they got some nice stuff for doing video documentation and stuff. But I think I saw someone ask. I just saw it scroll by. I thought I saw someone ask if we had found footprints out there at the site. And the answer to that is no, not really. We haven't found anything definitive. We've found impressions in the tall grass. But again, that could be, I don't know. It could be a person walking through. It could be the kids walking through. We haven't found any noticeable impressions with toes or anything like that in the woods. And I don't think Bob has seen anything like that either, have you, Bob?
Nothing I could say was a footprint. Just that one that was been a partial at best that I originally found.
Right.
That was just a night or two after we moved in.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought. But DB, so if you don't have any other questions, we need to take a quick break, and then we'll come right back. This will give everybody a breather here while we go to a quick commercial. And when we get back from that commercial, we'll keep on our interview with Bob. Be right back, Bob and DB.
Okay.
Sasquatch Watch Radio. Stay tuned.
Still being a radio star. Hey, boo. What's the matter?
Are you tired of the same old boring radio? Looking for something with a bit of an edge? Then sit down, strap in, and hold on tight, for you're about to be taken beyond the edge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get ready to rumble! It's down and dirty paranormal talk radio that takes you beyond the edge. Join us here on Blog Talk Radio Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for Beyond the Edge Radio, as we interview the everyday investigator to the seasoned researcher. From ghosts and hauntings, demonology, UFO and alien life forms, cryptozoology, psychic phenomenon, and other mysteries and unusual anomalies. Paranormal talk radio that goes beyond the edge, and it's right here every Friday night at 9 as we take you from the boring everyday normal into the world of the paranormal. Think you're brave enough? Then lock your doors, open your minds, and join us if you dare. Beyond the Edge Radio, Friday nights 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Blog Talk Radio. Beyond the Edge Radio is an anomalous entertainment production. Check us out at beyondtheedgeradio.com.
Okay, folks, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there while we take a little breather and let everybody have a catch of their breath. I'm going to get back to DB and find out if DB has gotten any questions from the chat room. But before I do that real quick, I'll mention the phone number once again. The call-in number is 347-237-5070. Again, it's 347-237-5070. Feel free to call in and ask Bob a question. And DB, do we have any questions from the chat room?
Yeah. First, there's Slam630 says, how long has Bob lived there?
About 6 months.
All right. Blue Tracker asked some questions. I think we already answered these at the beginning of the show. Blue Tracker might not have been here at that time. He asks, are there any tree breaks or other signs of animal activity on the property? And I think, Billy, you started out by saying that you'd found some interesting stick signs, possible stick formations.
Yeah, we did find some peculiar-looking stick formations that obviously, from looking at them, were actually placed there. They couldn't. The way they are put up, they're not. They didn't fall there. It's just no way it could happen. I do have some pictures of those on the website on SasquatchWatch.net. And actually, you know what? I don't know if I did put them on there. I can't remember, but I'll check into that, folks. If I haven't put them up, I'll put them up on the website just so people can see what I'm talking about. Because I can't remember if I posted them or not.
Got a couple more questions. They're coming in now since they know you're asking me because they want to test to see if I can type them and talk at the same time. See, where was it? Okay, Scott A said that, Bob, you said you'd heard it before you saw it, and he wanted to know what it is that you heard.
I heard it moving around the outside of the house. I heard it. It made its presence known before I ever actually physically saw it, probably by about 4 months. I would hear it outside the house walking around.
Uh-huh.
And then a couple times it actually hit the house. Like I said, not like a violent tear the house down, just kind of like a bang, are you home, you know. I believe even Susan's heard it, some mumblings, heard it moving around out there. And, but it was, I just heard different things. You know, I'd go out and look in the morning. I'd look, when I had the light during the summer, I'd go out and look around on my way to the vehicle, walk around back, see if anything looked displaced to what it was. Look for what could have made the bang other than somebody walking up and smacking the side of the house. That kind of thing. And, but it let I know it was around about 4 months. I just didn't, it never really entered my mind strongly till I seen it that one morning, to where I'm really aware of the fact that it's around now,
Right.
I've been known to wave at the woods now, but, do something waves back. But, like I said, I was figuring I'd get in a pile of rocks and just, if I think I hear something over there, just to chuck some rocks in the woods and see what happens,
Yeah, they may come right back at you.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just only rocks, not hooked to nothing 500 pounds, 9 foot and hairy. I'm happy,
I would start with pine cones, maybe. Hey, I got more questions here. Here's a good one from John Cartwright. He wants to know who fell in the creek, and I don't even know what he's talking about.
Neither do I.
I told him we went out there and did some night surveillance. Remember, me and Charlie kept hearing something down there, and you and Tom had gotten up and had walked over about a creek or something, and we heard something down there. And I think, didn't you almost fall or something? That was that.
No, I know what you're talking about now. Tom was having trouble. He wasn't wearing his waterproof boots. He was just wearing regular shoes. So he found a route across, and he got across with getting his feet wet. But then when we were coming back, we couldn't find that spot again. So I had my 16-inch watertight boots, so I could just walk right across it. I found a spot where there's a nice big old tree that had fallen, and I tried to throw that as far out into the creek as I could, and that's the splash that you heard.
Okay.
and then Tom used that to get back on our side of the creek.
Gotcha. All right. That explains that.
There's more questions.
Go ahead.
Biggest wants to know if you can give a more thorough description of the creature. Like, we know how tall it was, but like other things, did you get any facial features? Did you get any?
No, never got a real good facial feature at all.
What about the
I know
color
it's
of the
kind
hair?
of a reddish brown,
okay,
chestnutish, and
length of the hair.
To give you an inch length, it was no more than about 6 inches from what I could see. Mm-hmm. But it was, I cannot describe how bulky this thing was. I mean, just, big. I mean, it was, if it wanted in a house, it's coming in the house. If it wants to knock something over, it's knocking something over.
Mm-hmm.
That's how big it is. It would be, if it was to get ugly, I would be worried. You know, it's just. I cannot describe how big, how powerful this thing looked. It did have the first initial sighting. I did see the classic cone head. I got that much of a look at it, and it seemed like it was like a chestnutish brown, some black intermixed with it. Not a solid brown or a solid black.
Right.
And the second one was the same color hair. The second one was, it could have been the same animal for all I know.
Right.
All
right.
We got more. You ready for more? Because we got more.
How many more do you have?
Two more.
All right. Okay, because I got one caller on hold, so go ahead.
All right, well, I'll put them together. Kite Squatch wants to know, did any neighbors have any sightings? And Foot Doc wants to know if Bob can describe the gait, the way that the creature walked. And Regina wants to know, did Bob smell an odor? So there you go. Okay,
no smells both times. I've seen it. One, the gait was kind of like the Bluff Creek gait, kind of a sauntering, dangling arms, sauntering type gait, pretty good length. Neighbors, dogs acted weird a couple times, but they haven't seen anything.
All right. There you go. Right. That's all the questions I have.
All right. Now I'm going to bring this caller on the line. Right here. Must be somebody right here in Virginia. It's the 703 area code. You're on the air, Sasquatch Watch Radio. Hello, 703 area code. First three numbers 508.
Blog Talk Radio may be doing that thing again where they can hear us, but we can't hear them.
It may be. It may be, because I know somebody else had called in earlier and I couldn't hear them either.
Yeah, they went back into the chat room.
Right. Anyone there from 703 other than DB? Okay. I'll just keep them on mute and just let them stay on there in case they're just listening to the show. I know who the other one is. The other one's my brother. He calls in so he can hear the show because he can't hear it live where he's at. All right. Was there any other questions, or did you cover all those, DB?
Well, I just saw a new one. Slam630 says, did Bob tell the neighbors about the sighting?
Yes. Told the husband.
All right. Tell them the reason you just told the husband.
The husband's a little more level-headed, let's put it that way. No, the main reason was didn't want to create a panic because of the kids. Didn't want the wife panicking.
Right.
I'm of the mind that, if I thought this thing was going to do harm, I'd be laying for it. We wouldn't be playing nice with it. I don't have that feeling at all, so we're playing nice, And at the same time, I didn't want to start a panic as far as having them scared. They have 2 good yard dogs to protect the kids, And I'm not that, I'm not worried about that. I just didn't want the wife panicking.
Right.
She's going to have another baby, and we don't need early deliveries, and
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, Bob.
Okay.
Are there any cows somewhere near your property?
No.
Now,
there's llamas up the road.
Llamas.
Yeah. Within.
Do they ever get out of their pen?
No, I haven't seen any of them wandering around. Any other wildlife, any other stock descriptions would actually pretty much pinpoint this place. So I'm not gonna. The llamas are far enough away that they'd be hard pressed to figure it out. But there is stock around the area, yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had found a big piece of scat across the creek, and it was big enough that we sent it to somebody we know that works with animals and can identify this stuff. And she couldn't get into her lab because her lab was closed, so we haven't gotten the final word on what kind of bacteria was in it. But it was her opinion that it was a ruminant had made this particular scat, and she thought from the consistency and the presentation that it was probably a very young cow, not a calf, because it's eating grass, so a cow.
Right.
But now I wonder if llama might make that same presentation. The llamas might be getting behind your house for some reason, and I'd be watching out for that if I were you.
Yeah, there's actually I can think of 2 distinct bunches of llamas. Come to think of it. Yeah, come to think of it, I can think of 2 distinct bunches.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions from the chat, correct?
That is all that we have seen. Well, if somebody asks, is this bear country? You scroll
yes,
up and
it
see.
is.
So there are bear back there? That was Foot Doc that asked that.
Yeah, there are bear.
Yeah, there's actually been, it's very rare, but there was back just a few years ago, a couple of years ago, that there was a bear in Manassas that entered the 7-Eleven.
There was Susan's boss had a pair of cubs and a mama that used to get in their sandbox. The cubs would get in the sandbox and play, and then go to sleep. And this was in Manassas.
Right. Yep. So, I guess, they are around. We're not far, just so everybody knows, we're not that far from, Skyline Drive, Front Royal, Winchester, by way of 66, Route 66. But
when I first looked at the house, we first drove out to the house. We got out, we're walking around, and we had beat the real estate people, and we were just looking the place over. And coming off the front yard, going back down toward where the chickens are through the high grass, there was obviously something heavy went through there. But the way it tracked through, I had put it off to something on 4 legs versus something on 2. But it was big enough that I thought, that's the first thing I said to Susan, I said, I think we got a bear sniffing around.
Right.
I said, just because of the way it went through it was too big for a human to make. The width of the track, and it was too well pronounced to be somebody that only weighed 200 pounds.
Right.
It was something pretty good size.
Right. All right. Let's see. I haven't seen any other questions. I know DB hasn't.
Well, there is one more question. Scott Smith wants to know, how did the neighbor react after you told him?
Oh, that was it. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And I said, he showed a little concern. And I said, I wouldn't be concerned. There's no real reason to be. It didn't. Because we actually made the first look around the first couple nights. Till I got comfortable with the fact that it was running around, when he would go feed stock, I would be available with backup. just in case. And, just a matter of, a bird round that shoots out 30 yards and goes bang, something to, look, there's two of them,
Right.
But now we don't even think nothing about it. We just go about our business. Because, it's never made any, I never felt fearful of it. Even when it was peeking around the tree, I didn't feel like if I got out of my vehicle, it was going to come run up and grab me,
Right.
And, my theory is I do kind of hot-foot it in the morning till I get in the van, and then I get it fired up, and then I'll look around a little bit, shine the flashlight around, and, wait for the heat to kick in, and then I'll leave, but I just do that mainly just in case, I worry about being surprised more than hurt, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
It's kind of like a snake. I'm not afraid of them, but they'll scare me if they startle me,
Right.
if I get one right unexpected. And that's just, I move the trash can up closer to the front of the house, trying to maybe get a picture of it rattle the trash can. It has not rattled the trash can once.
Right.
Which I can't figure out. But.
Right. Well, it's I kind of agree with you, Bob. There's really no reason to get worked up over it. I mean, if
Right.
this thing wanted to do anything or hurt anybody, it would have done it by now. And I don't think it's really shown any signs of aggression. Now, why it's slamming on the side of the house, I don't know. I don't know that, but I think it could easily get in there if it wanted to. So.
Well, on the hitting the side of the house thing, I don't know how much time we got, but on another site I read a thing where a guy had moved into a trailer house on property in Georgia, and they had a slam on side of the house, shake it like, what are you doing in my house type thing.
Right.
A trailer that stood vacant for years.
Right.
And they figured somebody trying to run out the new residents, but it didn't happen. So,
Right. All right. Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left of the show. Before we run out of time, I want to go ahead and announce the show that we're doing next week. And just so everyone knows, I'm not taking the credit for this. This was actually DBD's idea. That once a month we kind of do a show just on the subject, on a particular subject. And we're going to start that next week. And the particular subject that we're going to discuss next week is a subject that we've heard a lot about here recently, and that's the subject of habituation. We hear a lot of folks talking about how they have habituated this creature, how they have, had return visits. Smiter called in earlier, talked about how he's traded gifts with them. So we're going to discuss the subject of habituation, and that should be real interesting, and we want everybody to tune in, and we encourage everyone to call in and give us your opinions, or if you have a habituation story, call in and share it. You don't have to give us no location. We would like to hear about it. Right, DB?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing next week. Do you have anything else, DB, before we run out of time?
Let's see. We did have one last question. Sassfoot wanted to know where Bob is from originally.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Well, you don't even have a Pennsylvania accent.
I've lived more places in my life than most people can imagine.
Yeah, well, I come from just around D.C., so I don't have much of an accent either. People usually ask me, like, what are you doing? You don't have a Virginia accent. So there are different places you can live where you just don't pick up the accent people expect you to have.
I said a lot of years in the military, you meet a lot of people. You tend to,
Thanks, everybody. I just, real quick before we go off the air, thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see all of you next week. And we can keep talking because this will get archived. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We thank you. Can't do it without you. Okay, you can keep talking.
Great.
We're being recorded.
We're being recorded. Oh, no.
That's right.
No, I guess being in the military so long and lived in Arizona for years, lived in Delaware, lived in Georgia, lived in Texas, lived overseas. I mean, it's just, you know, I mean, I spent 1 year working with the Korean Air Force where English was not a common language almost, you know. My Korean used to be pretty good, but that's probably why I haven't got a discernible accent, you know.
Right.
Anyhow.
All right. Well,
I had to come up with my own question for you guys, and it just that totally got me derailed.
Go right ahead. Like I say, we're being archived, so it doesn't matter how much time we take.
Yeah. If you could come up with that recorder thing, I told you about the moaning I was hearing in the cold mornings, didn't I?
Right.
Yeah. And I could just go out there fresh in the morning with nothing.
Right.
You know, when I haven't been out the first time, you know, and just see what's going on. You know, I haven't heard anything like around the house, like where they're scampering away because I've showed up out the front door, you know.
Right. Right.
And, you know, but at the same time, I haven't, you know, the other night, the dogs, they had something going. Even Susan said the dogs are moving something around the woods. Because we had dogs barking that we'd never heard before.
Right.
From the other side. You know how you go down to the one driveway and and it continues on? Yeah, from that end.
Right.
We had dogs coming down through the woods. And they weren't deer dogs.
Right.
You know.
Did you see that question Scott Smith just posted, DB?
No, I was on a different page. Scott Smith, what did you just post?
He says if we're still doing the show to ask this question. He says, Bob, has your water faucets ever been left on outside or anything unusual like that happen around the house?
No.
Okay.
No.
Nothing out of place, nothing like that.
Nothing. I haven't seen nothing moved. I had the lid off the deck box, but I figured the wind done that.
Right. Okay.
But nothing really out of place. Nothing's been messed with. That's the thing. You know, nothing's been moved. Nothing's been broken into. See, the shed in the back didn't used to have a lock on it, and there used to not be anything in it but a pile of insulation in one corner.
Right.
And of course, when I moved here, I put some stuff back there, some tools, and put a lock on the shed. And you know, not like anything's trying to get in there. Like we used to go in there. I went in there, you know.
Right.
And the only thing I want to do is in the back there. This when the weather gets better, I want to hook up a motion sensor light.
Right. So if anything moves through there, it'll trigger it, turn it on.
It'll trigger, so at least I know something was out there. I might not be able to see it, but at least I know something was out there. You know. But other than that, it's been quiet. Other than the little moaning I've heard in the real cold mornings.
Right.
You know.
Well, I'll get you that recorder because I've got two of them, so I get one of them out there, and it's real easy to use, just like one of the old tape players. It's got the same, you know, the little play symbol buttons on it. It's just a smaller version, digital version. And it's easy enough to sit out there and hit record and just let it run. I think the one that I've got, will record up to, 14 hours.
Oh, okay.
So you won't have no problem with not having enough space.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I can. What I'll do is I'll figure out different places to post it around the yard.
Right.
And that way we can see what we got.
That'll
now,
work.
with those digitals, do they have a chip you pull in and out, or you just got to listen to the whole thing?
No, they actually hook directly into your USB. You pull a thing off.
Oh,
It's got a USB connector, and you just plug it right into your computer.
Oh, okay.
So, and you can play it. You can play it back on the digital recorder too, but you can also download it right on your computer.
Okay.
And you can look. You know, you can look at. There's some free programs out there where you can get, you know, sound graph programs, software programs where you can actually, instead of having to listen to the whole thing, you can look for certain peaks in the bar graph. And then you just play that section instead of having to listen to the whole thing, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do. But well, Bob, thank you so much for.
Not a problem, buddy. Thank you for having me on.
I really appreciate it, and as you know, you'll see me and Charlie on Sunday.
Okay.
Unless something comes up, you call me.
Okay. I will do that. You have a good night there.
All right, you too, Bob. Thanks a lot.
You too, DB. Have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, DB. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. And next week we'll have that nice show on habituation. And hopefully we'll get some people to call in here and maybe share some of their stories with us and have an interesting show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
I think it will be, too.
Looking forward to it.
It's just a great idea of yours.
Well, thank you very much.
I know who this is calling me, but they're going to voicemail for now. All right, and DB, thank you for being on here with me tonight. Thank you for last week. You and JC did a good job. I appreciate
Thank you very
it.
much. No problem.
And we'll see everyone next time.
Yep, see ya.
Good night, folks.
A legend silently stalks the forest around the world, leaving giant man-like footprints in its wake. Skeptics scoff, while the true believers search for the answers, and those who have seen it will never forget. Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Blog Talk Radio. Billy Willard and the Blog Squatcher present Sasquatch Watch Radio. Your hosts, Billy Willard and DB Donlin, bring you 60 minutes of the latest news and information, newly discovered evidence, and interviews with those searching for the truth and those who have seen it. Do you believe? Want to know the truth? It's out there waiting. Monday night, 9 p.m. Blog Talk Radio. Sasquatch Watch Radio. Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, because it is about to go down. blogtalkradio.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio.
To those who visit Mickey D's for their favorite breakfast item and then go somewhere else for coffee, give this Mickey D's brew a second chance. The glow up was real.
Try any size iced coffee brewed with 100% Arabica beans for just 99 cents until 11 a.m. And pair it with a savory sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.79. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Airline credit card rewards have helped grow America's travel and tourism industry. In 2022, 15 million Americans traveled domestically using reward miles, generating $23.4 billion for local economies, supporting more than 183,000 jobs. But now Congress is considering legislation that could eliminate credit card rewards and decimate the U.S. travel and tourism industry. Tell Congress to support travel and tourism jobs and oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card routing legislation. Visit handsoffmyrewards.com/travel to take action. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.